So I know all of you have already interned at Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, Home Depot as default tolerance interns. But can you code? Now this is for all the people that like to live their life at half the speed and call themselves machine learning engineers. In Python, the all function takes in a list and returns false if at least one element in the list is false. In this case, it returns true because all elements in the list were true. In this case, it returns false because one element in the list is false. What about this case? You guessed it, true. What about this case? Now I know there are some chatsters out there that already know what this is, but for those that don't, this is an empty list inside of a list. And this returns false. Now what is this? This is an abomination. This will evaluate to true. Now why did all of that happen? If I were to implement the all function myself, it would look something like this. It goes through every element in the list. It checks if that element is false. If it is, it returns false. Otherwise, it goes through the entire list, does not find an element that's false, and returns true. In the first scenario, all returned true because the list was empty. It went through the entire list, didn't find a false value, and returned true. In the second scenario, the all function returned false because it found an item, but that item was an empty list. And in Python, empty lists evaluate to false, which is Python's weird way of commenting upon the emptiness in the lives of programmers.
Can you write code without copying?
Now in the third scenario, there was an empty list inside of an empty list inside of an empty list. Now in that case, when Python saw the first element, it saw that it was a list, but it wasn't empty because it had an empty list inside of it. And therefore it returned true, which is Python's weird way of saying that pyramid schemes work.
Anyway, you're all losers.
Now this is for every kid that makes a web app in React and sends it to Y Combinator thinking that that's going to make them rich and famous. So after I execute this piece of JavaScript code, what do you think will be the value of this variable? That's right, the answer is banana! Now why is the answer banana? In the expression a plus plus a, JavaScript thinks that the second a is actually a number. And when it tries to convert that into a number, it realizes that no, this is not really a number. So it converts it into a value called NaN, which stands for not a narcissist. Now this is a language for smart and sensible people. You fear death, so you stay away from languages like C. But you're not kiddish, so you stay away from languages like Python. Now we have two strings that both hold the same values. So I want to see whether or not they're equal. So I do that by doing A equals B. Now what is this going to print? This is going to print false. But what if I do A dot equals B? Now this seems like pretty much the same thing, right? So this should print false as well. But no, it prints true. And the reason for this is that equals compares memory addresses, whereas dot equals checks if both strings hold the same value. Now this language is for the absolute goats. So I just wanted to take a minute to appreciate Golang. It's fast, it's easy to learn, the documentation on their website is amazing, and working with concurrency is so easy. It's literally so easy. Now this language is not for humans. If you code in C, you probably don't fear death. You probably have the Mexican cartel behind your back. You've probably hacked the Pentagon 100 times, and while everyone was interviewing at FANG, you were making money at Jane Street. Now over here we have a string literal, and we're trying to set the second character to another character. Watch what happens.
911, what's your emergency? My computer. It's on fire.